Okay.
I'll go with you. We'll do it together. I know, and then I'm trying to get her kid to be a rabbi, and then we'll live together for the whole world, right?
Shabbat shalom. It's
Shabbat
so good to
shalom.
be together. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited for you for your interim position. That's awesome.
Where are you going?
Shabbat shalom.
Where do you live? Oh,
Hi. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome. It is so good to be with all of you once again, to be joining you back here at Bethel. I'm so excited to be here. Hope everybody had a wonderful Pesach. And we're back to Chametz. Yay. Yes. So it's so wonderful to be able to welcome Shabbat together, to join together with those of you who are joining us here in the chapel, with those of you who are joining us streaming online from home. We welcome you all here as we join together in this sacred moment to welcome Shabbat. So I invite you to turn in your prayer books to page 10, where you'll find the words to Lechu Naranana. I invite you to join with us as we welcome and celebrate this joyous moment together. Turn back to page 1, where we'll invite Marcy to lead us in the kindling of the Shabbat lights.
Before we light our Shabbat candles,
Before
just a moment ago, we welcomed in our Shabbat angels with Shalom Aleichem. Just take a moment. We have lots of folks who are visiting us in our community for the first time. I know we have Tampa. We've got new kids on the block. Awesome. So I want to invite you to get out of your chairs and introduce yourself to someone you have not met yet. And we'll get together in 1 second to light our candles.
My name is Lexi. Yes. It's so nice to meet you. Rabbi, I am Lexi. I taught at the preschool for a while, and then I left to go do something else. So now I'm a healer. Also, I have my own practice, but I was in the Purim show a bit ago, so I try to stay as
Just going to borrow that.
program. Okay. That was fun.
Did I turn this on?
For any souls feeling a little brave, I invite you to come a little closer tonight as we get ready to kindle our Shabbat lights. And we can continue kibitzing at the Oneg after services. We got brave souls. We got brave souls. For anyone who would like to come up nice and close, we invite you to come as Marcy kindles our Shabbat lights.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We are blessed in our We are really blessed in our Temple Bethel community to have so many talented and spiritually deep individuals. And I am grateful to be joined on the Bima tonight by Lexi James and Marcy Howard, along with my rabbinic partner, Barry Lutz. So grateful to have you and Debbie with us, of course. While there are many ways to participate in services, this is an opportunity to fill your cup, to let go of the week that was, and we turn inward. This is a time to let the music wash over you, let your body move to the music, find your own way through the Siddur so that you can connect and find meaning. However you are called to join us, please feel free. Yehid Nefesh.
Yedid nefesh av harachaman meshachav dechal ratzonecha yarutz avdecha kemo ayav ishtachava 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 mul hadarecha yerov lo yeditutecha minofet suf vechotav.
most of you are aware of the fact that Hebrew letters also have numerical value. Yes, so the letter Aleph is equal to 1, and the letter Bet, 2, Gimel, 3, etc., etc. This use of the numerical values of letters in Jewish mysticism is called gematria. Gematria. And it's where we get this idea that the word chai, for life, is equal to the numerical value of 18, which is why every bar bat mitzvah wonders why the heck they're getting checks in the amount of $36 or $72. I remember thinking, why didn't I just get 35 or 80 or what? That's why the numerical value, the multiples of 18, are a way of blessing us with life by giving us that numerical value or multiple of 18. For the mystics, there was another number that was very important, the number 26. Yud He Vav He, the unpronounceable name of God, has a numerical value of 26. And for the mystics, they represented the brokenness of the world by splitting God's name in two. Yud He, 15, Vav He, 11. 15 and 11. And they looked forward to that day when God's name would be reunited, when the 15 and 11 would again become 26. That was the process of Tikkun Olam, of making the world whole again. All of this is a long way round of telling you something about the words we are about to sing. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nekabbalah, on page 18. If you look at those words, among the many remarkable things about this poem, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, if you were to count those letters, you will find 15. Pnei Shabbat Nekabbalah, 11. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat Nekabbalah, 26 letters. The name of God. When we sing Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, we look forward to that time when God's name will be reunited. When that messianic time that Shabbat, of course, represents for us a moment of peace, a moment of wholeness, a moment of coming together all as one. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, 15, Pnei Shabbat Nekabbalah, 11. We sing them together and look forward to that time when God's wholeness will fill our world. Let's join together on page 18 in Lecha Dodi. Shabbat Nekabbalah, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nekabbalah. Shamo v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Hayechad u'shemo echad, Shemo tiferet v'liti la 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 Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nekabbalah. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nekabbalah, la 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 Lecha Dodi. Pnei Shabbat Nekabbalah, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nekabbalah. Shabbat Lechu v'Nelcha.
Ora Berucha, Mirosh Mikadem Netzukah, Ma'aseh b'machshavat la 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 Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nekabbalah, Lecha adodi likrat kakala pene pene Shabbat nekabela la 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 adodi likrat kakala pene pene Shabbat nekabela adodi likrat kakala pene pene Shabbat nekabela.
Verse 5.
Toreri, toreri, ivore fumiori, uri sidaveri, che volano like nikla la 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 adoti nikla kakala,
Hey Shabbat
nekabela. La kala adodi nikla kakala, pene Shabbat nekabela la 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 adodi. Kakala, pene pene Shabbat nekabela. Adodi kakala, pene pene Shabbat nekabela. Bohi v'shalom ateret bada, gam besimcha u'betzola, toch amunei yom seguda. Bohi chala, la 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 adodi kakala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Adodi kakala, pene Shabbat nekabela la 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 adodi kakala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Adodi kakala, pene Shabbat nekabela.
We come together in this moment for many reasons. Some of us come here to embrace the joy of Shabbat, embrace the wonder of community. Others come seeking embrace and support in their time of sorrow and loss. And to those in particular joining us here in the chapel, joining us online in their own moment of loss, we say to you, Hamakom Yenachem Etchem, may God provide you comfort. May you find yourself surrounded and supported by God's comfort in the love and support of your friends and community. Join together now on page 23 in the Baruch Hu. I'm going to ask you once again to please rise.
For those unfamiliar with this melody, just repeat after me. Baruch Hu,
Baruch Hu,
et Adonai,
et Adonai,
Hamevorach,
Baruch Adonai,
Hamevorach,
Hamevorach,
Leolam Vaed. Baruch Hu et Adonai, Hamevorach. Baruch Hu et Adonai, Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach, Leolam Vaed. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach, Leolam Vaed. Lai 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 lai,
seated. Continue with words of praise for this wondrous creation that we share together on page 26.
Baruch atah Adonai Elohim melech haolam asher bidbaro ma'ariv ha'arim v'chokhma poteach she'arim. God of creation, who makes the evening fall from light into darkness with the setting of the sun. You unfold the heavens with brilliant moon and stars, and wrap our souls with peace. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidbaro ma'ariv ha'arim v'chokhma poteach she'arim. Baruch atah Adonai Amariv Aravim.
Page 30.
If you're lost, you feel afraid, and you don't know what to say, then listen, listen to our God. Is there a question on your mind? Is the answer hard to find? Then listen, listen to our God. Listen with all your heart and soul, and with all your mind. Write them and learn them and teach them well every morning and night. Close your eyes and listen. Quiet yourself, there's nothing to say. Stop all the chatter that gets in the way, and listen to our God. When the wind and the thunder finally disappear, there's still a voice that you will hear if you listen to our God. You can hear it from the top of the highest hill or from the valley below. It can come from the edge of the universe. It can come from within your soul. continue together with the Ve'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך וחיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננת לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Pesach, this season of celebrating freedom and liberation, always brings to mind for me a story I heard from a favorite author and poet of mine, Grace Paley, who once reflecting upon her childhood wrote the following. She wrote, "I lived my childhood in a world so dense with Jews that I thought we were the great imposing majority, and kindness had to be extended to others because, as my mother said, everyone wants to live like a person." In school, I met my friend Adele, who together with her mother and father were not Jewish. Despite this, they often seemed to be in a good mood. There was the janitor in charge of coal, and my father, unusually smart, spoke Italian to him. They talked about Italian literature because the janitor was equally smart. Down the hill under the Southern Boulevard L, families lived, people in lovely shades of light and darkest brown. My mother and sister explained that they were treated unkindly, that they had in fact been slaves in another part of the country in another time. "Like us," I said. "Like us," my father said year after year at Seder's when he told the story in a rush of Hebrew, stopping occasionally to respect my grandmother's pained face or to raise his wine glass to please the grown-ups. In this way, I began to understand in my own time and place that we had been slaves in Egypt and brought out of bondage for some reason. One of the reasons clearly was to tell the story again and again, that we had been strangers and slaves in Egypt and therefore knew what we were talking about when we cried out against pain and oppression. In fact, we were obligated by the knowledge to do so. That obligation is what we are reminded of each time we join together in these words on page 37, words we first sang at the shore of the sea, Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha va'elim Adonai, mi chamocha ne'er b'kodesh, lo ratevi lo, oseh pele, oseh pleasure to invite up Mark Adler to lead us in Ufros Aleinu. You can find the words on page 39 in your Siddur.
Ufros aleinu sukan, sukan, shelomecha. Ufros aleinu sukan, sukan, shelomecha. Yadai dai dai, yadai dai dai, yadai dai 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 dai, yadai dai dai, yadai dai dai, yadai dai 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 dai. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'porei sukat shalom, aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim.
On page 41, we thank God for the gift of this day, the gift of Shabbat. Page 43. invite you to continue quietly now with the words through page 59 in our prayer books, or with the thoughts and meditations of your own hearts. And when you are prepared to do so, please feel free to be seated.
Is it working?
Just waiting for the green light to come on. So a question for you. How are you about following instructions? I guess that's the answer right there. So when you get a new device, do you follow the step-by-step manual? Do you read the procedural instructions, or you just kind of figure it out as you go? So if you're like me, actually I think I've heard it already, the answer is, well, it depends. Depends. When it comes to assembling something complicated or expensive, or when some intricate set of procedures might be necessary, I'm likely to lose a big investment, perhaps, or to harm myself or someone else. I follow a step-by-step guide. I'm pretty careful about the rules with things like meat temperatures and electrical wiring. But then there are those things that are more like guidelines than actual rules. If you get the reference, that's a Pirates of the Caribbean reference. Like traffic regulations, perhaps. No parking zones. No left turn signs. Maybe speed limits. Of course, what are mere suggestions to some are hard and fast rules for others. Take, for instance, the rules and regulations in this week's Torah portion regarding Jewish dietary laws. For many of us, well, I include myself in this, Reform Jewish pirates, rules of kashrut are more guidelines than actual rules. We Reform Jews tend to be more interested in the underlying principles than the specific instructions. Kashrut, for instance, as a dietary principle, calling us to pay attention to what we put in our bodies, concern for the ethical treatment and sustainable production of what we eat, may be of more significance to us as an expression of a kind of kashrut than the intricacies of fleshik, milchik, and parv. Where we tend to run into trouble, however, is where the lines between rules and guidelines gets blurred. Like speed limits that I mentioned before. Are they rules or guidelines? You all know the saying, right? Under 9, you're fine. Over 10, you're mine. Do you know that? Okay. Well, you may drive by that guideline, but don't try to use it with the officer who pulls you over and considers the speed limit much more of a rule than a guideline. Indeed, in that space where rules and guidelines, the consequences for violating them can range from a minor annoyance to really a great tragedy. Drinking and driving, for instance. Here, the decision that a rule is merely a suggestion and therefore okay to violate often is of little consequence. But we all know, and have experienced those times when that decision can be horrific. Anytime we make such a decision, there is the potential for someone to get seriously burned. And that is the cautionary tale contained in a brief and tragic story in this week's Torah portion. We read this Shabbat about the end of an 8-day consecration of the tent of meeting and the priests who will serve there. Aaron, the high priest, concludes the consecration ritual by offering sacrifices as instructed by God. According to the Torah, these offerings are accepted in a most spectacular and extraordinary way. We read, "Fire came forth from the eternal and consumed the burnt offering on the altar. And all the people saw and shouted and fell on their faces." Now, 2 of Aaron's sons, standing nearby and watching all of this, Nadav and Avihu, watch this miraculous exhibition and enthusiastically think to themselves, this is pretty cool. We're going to give it a try ourselves. Their attempt, however, ends in disaster. We read again from the Torah, "Fire came forth from Adonai and consumed them. Thus they died before God." This heartbreaking tale has been debated through the ages. What exactly did they do wrong? Well, there's no satisfactory answer, really, why the conversation continues on. Perhaps they did nothing more than let their enthusiasm and lack of patience get the best of them. What is clear is that regardless of their intentions, in a section of Torah filled with rules, Nadav and Avihu's disregard of proper procedures, perhaps viewing them as little more than precautionary guidelines, was their downfall. We have here a warning about what can happen when rules are ignored. While things might turn out okay, there's always the possibility that somebody's going to get burned. We live in a world desirous of immediate satisfaction. Human nature is prone to be sitzen auf Spilkes, for those of you who know a little Yiddish, sitting on pins. We sympathize with Aaron's son's enthusiasm. And so while we might give voice to the importance of following rules, in the moment when they get in the way, we'll often discount them, turning them into guidelines rather than rules in order to justify our own impulsive actions. Of course, however small the possibility, there's always the chance of someone getting burned in the process. And so when our enthusiasm and Spilkes are getting the best of us, often the best course of action is simply to slow down, take a breath, and thoughtfully consider our next move. What would have happened if Nadav and Avihu had done similarly? The vital importance of slowing down, to take a breath, to pause and consider, of course, is the age-old lesson of this day, of Shabbat. It offers us that opportunity. The authors of our tradition wisely understood that without some regulation in time, our human nature would have us simply and often mindlessly continue, at times even dangerously, to move forward headlong, one moment to the next, until somebody got burned. And so they constructed a system designed to make us slow down, to compel us to pause, to take a breath, and consider just exactly where it is we are going and what exactly it is we are doing. All in hopes of diminishing the possibility, again, that someone will get burned or that we might get burned out. So this Shabbat, as we read about Nadav and Avihu, let us take to heart the words of the poet Wilfred Arian Peterson, who wrote this beautiful poem, "Slow me down, O God. Ease the pounding of my heart and by the quieting of my mind. Steady my hurried pace with a vision of the eternal reach of time. Give me, amid the confusion of the day, the calmness of the everlasting hills. Break the tensions of my nerves and muscles with the soothing music of the singing streams that live in my memory. Help me to know the magical restoring power of sleep. Teach me the art of taking minute vacations, of slowing down to look at a flower, to chat with a friend, to bat a dog, to read a few lines from a good book. May we all take the time we need to slow ourselves down, to reconsider, to take a breath. Shabbat Shalom."
Shabbat Shalom. Take this moment now to offer a blessing of healing for our loved ones, those who are in need of wholeness this Shabbat. A beautiful part of our tradition recognizes that we don't just lack wholeness when we are physically sick, but when we are suffering mentally, spiritually, those who are suffering from addiction. So I invite you at this time, if you want to mention the names of any loved ones who are in need of healing this Shabbat, to please share their names. For all those named and not named, for our world that is often feeling like it's burning around us, we offer these blessings. Again, please join with me. This is a repeat after me. Prayer for healing. Dear God of our ancestors,
God of our ancestors,
help us renew our faith.
help us renew our faith.
Grant us perfect healing.
Grant us a perfect healing.
Bring peace to all our days.
Bring peace to all our days.
El Mar Refana Lanu. Restore our strength of body.
Restore our strength of body.
Help clarify our minds.
Help us by our minds.
Refresh our tired spirits.
Refresh our tired spirits.
Rejuvenate our light.
Rejuvenate our life.
Thank you for all these blessings
Thank you for all these blessings.
throughout our days and nights.
Throughout our days and nights,
We celebrate the journey,
we celebrate the journey.
this precious gift of life.
This precious gift of life.
Beautiful tradition that we have in our community is to bring a taste of Shabbat to those who are homebound. And we have this opportunity to bestow blessing on one another. So we have 2 chalot that need to be delivered sometime over Shabbat. This first one is going to Aliso Viejo. Do I have any volunteers? Major mitzvah points. Aliso Viejo, thank you so much. And the second one is to Laguna Woods. Any volunteers to bring to Laguna Woods this Shabbat? Brownie points. Excellent, thank you so much. Shabbat Shalom, thank you.
Before we move on to the conclusion of our worship this evening, just a few announcements.
Announcements, announcements, announcements. Sorry, couldn't resist.
You know how that ends? A terrible. Oh, never mind. So, Torah study is available tomorrow morning, every Shabbat morning on Zoom at 9 a.m. And invite you to join us as well tomorrow morning at 9:30 for a special musical Jerusalem Shabbat.
Right here in our chapel.
Ooh, nice. Look for details of all events on our website. We're looking for greeters, continue to look for greeters for Fridays and Saturday services to help create a warm, welcoming environment. So I know Pesach is over, but officially ends tomorrow, just so you know, with beer and cheers.
Yes.
You can still sign up or join us at the door.
This is going to seriously be an epic party. Mark Adler sent me the most awesome pictures. They were setting up outside. This is going to be with live music, awesome food, and some other fun things that you'll have to come check out for yourself. And what? Line dancing led by Wendy. Yes. Oh, yes. You and I are going to do a little swinging. 6 o'clock tomorrow.
It says here that the live music is Cantor Natalie Young.
It's true.
Okay.
And the Band of Milk and Honey.
All right.
Yes. This is the original Band of Milk and Honey. Very excited to be joined by some very special folks tomorrow, including Moshe.